installers go ahead and plug this in, that's what they're going to see. I'll open this inverter up as I talk, but so that's just plugged in via USB into the LED.
And what is it?
It's a Krystalfontz little. It's something the Locust guys developed so that they can, you know, kind of. I mean, it's very much a tool designed for them. But one of the things we were wondering is whether it can give some more instant feedback to the field guys. So, you know, right on the screen, you can kind of see it's actually the first set of readings are the CTs. Okay. So while we never had problems usually with the CT reading, you know, you can scroll through there. It'll show you how many kilowatt hours the system's done to date. You can go through like 3 screens and then you can kind of run it through.
Oops.
Yep, so it's like, so, standard stuff right there, kilowatts, you can kind of see I got, it seems a little low. Oh, this one hasn't started yet. Okay, so it's reading like 1100 kilowatts right now, 1.013, yeah, so it's, and you can tell right, so it's about a 2-second delay. So it's only reading this inverter right now. So you can kind of see that it's tracking.
Maybe you have to refresh it or something.
No, it'll change. It's like 10. This one's reading 10.9. I mean, it's it's probably in the fractions at that point for it to read it. If you scroll down again to the next screen, and here's where it's might not be super usable. Same thing. That's just basic stuff.
From the CT.
Yeah. Okay. What Gabe told me is the CT direction might not necessarily, I mean, again, that's something they can fix on the software side.
Yeah, we can fix that.
Either the guys, they've already gotten used to it, they'll either flip their X1 and X2 around, or, they don't necessarily know that the Locust guys can push a software patch to flip that direction.
Well,
you can too?
I can.
Oh, cool. Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
cool.
Just, make it negative, basically.
Okay, cool. Next screen is where we get into stuff that could help you guys and them. So, and I'm interested to see, so that's give them some error codes.
That's the inverter direct right now.
Inverter direct, which I think
inverter number 1 is 5, inverter number 2 is 6. Is that the?
I'm not sure. No, I don't know. For the 5, what do you mean for 5?
5.
It says, did he give you any stuff? Yeah. So
5 is 1. Is inverter number 1, and 6 is inverter number 2.
Yeah, I don't know if they continue flipping. Okay, it is. So if we go through it, hopefully we see a 6 show up. I didn't get this far. I only tested it out of a single.
There, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so go back up to 5. What I saw was, and I'm about to bring their website up to see what this thing did. But last night, it looked like we had inverter direct to both of these, right? Did you check it out, Sam? It's Crumland. So I don't know if you checked it out at all, Sam.
I can check it right now.
Kremlin?
Crumland, yeah. It may, and so what I've seen, and we just saw it this morning, the website's standard 10 minutes sometimes to kind of update. The one I was at today showed 0s for the error code. So when I first tried this out a couple days ago, the guys had wired A and B over here, a little opposite. And I'll if you guys want to kind of squeeze in over here, it's probably easiest. And then I'll show you again on that one. Careful, they're hot and live.
Careful, is this technically code here? We don't exactly have 3 feet free and clear against.
No, this isn't technically code, but it's a lot of this kind of stuff in general is always kind of we usually get fortunate. Residentially, same thing. They know they don't necessarily want to go through the whole thing of customer cutting down.
You're the service guys. I mean, you're the one who's going to be in jeopardy.
I mean, and the installers didn't call it out. I mean, a lot of that is, the cowboy way of solar, and we'll figure out a way to get around it. It's tough. It's not something I think most of the installers would be comfortable saying, to the homeowner, "Oh, move those trees, or we're not doing the install." Especially with our deal, they don't really have any ability to refuse anything.
Installers.
And like a new installer asked me last week, what happens if you got a customer that he wouldn't want to do business with? And I said, oh, that's interesting. Like, if you're coming from us, you're gonna have to suck it up and deal with it. You know, there is no asshole clause on our contract. You know, like it's like if you're trying to sell direct to him and you show up and you think he's a scumbag or he says something racist or whatever, and you have the right to refuse him. But you can say you don't want to work with him, and we'll find another installer to do the work. But that's about it. So same thing. It's not. They wouldn't want to come out here and ruffle feathers and say, you know what, we could do this, but man, you got to get rid of that bush. They're in the mode of just trying to make people happy for the most part too. So, did you see anything on the website for that too? So.
Oh.
And then I'll keep kind of babbling over here. So, and Sam, you can pop in a sec too. So one of the things I've been seeing out in the field, and this is a good example of where I'm wrong, if we're getting inverter direct on both. But I've lost inverter direct when the guys are landing, usually on a single inverter setup, over on here on the left-hand side. There's the two AB grounds. And when there's the Locust's PowerPoint presentation, I thought showed a really good representation of like a daisy-chained set of inverters. And so I started telling my guys to think of them as like input-output. Because what I've seen, so anytime I've, aside from the shielded Cat 5 issue out there, anytime I didn't get inverter direct and they were landed over here on the left-hand side, if I moved it over to the right, if it was a single inverter, I got it.
Really?
But this morning, single inverter, left-hand side, inverter direct was fine. 2 days ago, this exact setup, and I'd even told the installer, I'm like, you might have to move that over to the right. I did my QA a couple hours later, he was already gone. Didn't have inverter direct with this, switched it over, my error code disappeared, and 10 minutes later it showed up on the website. So,
do you think that could have been just a...
No, so being on the left side...
Oh, being on the right side.
When I moved it to the right side, it worked.
Errors went away when you put it on the right side.
So, I think it's more probably just needs practical field verification on that, but I don't think Locust has said anything about that. It's that's actually more of a Keiko question at that point. It's like Keiko, is that programmatically input output?
From what I understood is that they were just bussed together, so it was just more of a convenience
So it shouldn't
thing.
matter exactly.
That's interesting to hear.
But
Yeah, it is interesting. If it always works on the right side, might as well use the right side.
Yeah. So, and I know Mark's working on some of that documentation. I guess he said you guys are doing something similar too.
Mark,
even little
he was
things,
working on
even
the Keiko documentation, and we're trying to get Locust to edit their documentation.
Yeah, and the other side you see is like even what is left and right, because if you actually look at it underneath, they're upside down. On the board, it's like, so how's it printed? How do we show that? That's where he is. He's at that level of detail right now. Like, do we show this upside down, A and B? In reality, the installers, they aren't looking.
Yeah, I know, they should.
Oh wait, it's upside down. Wait,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
I
A or B
know.
I'm supposed to be on. Like, they're not that dumb. They did just wire up a whole solar system, so they should be able to figure it out. But we'll see. So, once we kind of get a little quick, if you ever see anything on that, Sam, just shout out. But I don't know what those error messages mean. So what I saw the other day was that 5 equipment, and under errors it had 400, and L-gate com 0. Or no, that was 4. And when I called Gabe, he said that L-gate com should be 1. That means you're communicating with the inverter. But at 1, I don't know if that now means it's... Oh wait, so that's talking inverter 5. That's right.
Yeah, inverter
Yeah,
5, which is number 1. It's confusing that they call it 5.
Yeah.
Looks
I don't
good
know.
from
I don't know
here.
what 2609 and 2681 mean as far as error codes, but at least so far with what I've seen with it, this could be a pretty effective tool for the installers to use to at least say, I have communication with the L gate, to both inverters, and I have communication outgoing, so we're good to go. Like,
To the host-
take a
to the
picture of this
host.
to the host, and we should be good.
Right, and then we have communication. The CT's also, well, obviously.
Yeah.
If it's,
See, I mean,
if it's connected to the host, that means the CT should be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean,
but
so
then-
far we haven't had any problems with CTs.
Okay.
Well,
But
sometimes they land them on the wrong terminal. So
Yeah, but aside from that,
negative
but but no under frequency or frequency interference issues, since they are using like the RJ40, the RJ45 ends, and are actually getting the benefit of the twisted pairs.